Welcome everybody to another week of the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I'm your host, Matthew Long, with my co-host here, Kevin Krest. We got a big night ahead of us. Clearly, we just witnessed probably one of the most entertaining Super Bowls in history. It was the largest comeback in Super Bowl history. It was the first overtime game in Super Bowl history. It's the only one that I can think of where, the Super Bowl MVP's jersey was stolen sometime after the game. So we appreciate you listening in here. As you know, everybody, we got people listening live on Blog Talk Radio right now. The show goes till 10:30 on Blog Talk. If you're over on Spreaker right now, you can download the free Spreaker app. You listen to a whole 3 hours of the show. Also, YouTube Live. You can get the show over on YouTube Live as well. And check out the YouTube channels at Matt Long Sports and at the CHT on Sports. The CHT on Sports is brand new. So the only show that'll be up right now, at about midnight, will be tonight's show. So it's the first one. We're finally getting that built up and going over there. Everything's been at Matt Long Sports on YouTube so far. Again, follow the show at the CHT on Sports. You can get me at Matt Long Sports and Kevin at Kevin Krest. So we try to keep things, try to keep them simple. How are you doing tonight, Kevin? Really? Yeah, you had. You got some. The frame. You need a bigger frame. Oh. I think I'm gonna do that whole interview as Peter Griffin. I'll just I love Tom Brady and the Patriots. It's amazing. I love them. Shapoopy. No, I probably won't. He's authored or co-authored 3 books. Yeah. We it's going to be interesting too, because it was, sports agent to front office, now to the journalist. So it's going to be, we're hitting all dynamics on the guests the last 3 weeks. So I really look forward to having him on. It'll be is he? Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I do want to get into the Celtics a little bit because they're sitting second in the East right now, so I kind of want to see where he's going, where he's interested in that, and also to kind of feel, the temperature of the room for him as far as where the NBA is, because it really is a parity-free league. Basically, two teams, and then the Spurs are kind of like that next one where somebody could see out of the West. But it's just, I kind of want to see that situation. I had been mulling over the whole situation. Again, we haven't really actually gotten into it too deep on the show. We'll get into that second segment. The whole situation with LeBron's cry for help. You wrote an article on it. It's up over on the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. Help wanted. You can also see the original blog at kevkrestsports.blogspot.com. So I kind of want to get into that. I've really been going back and forth on it because if I did one of my shows to the half last week on it, the beginning of last week, and it's interesting because statistically they're better this year than they were last year. More points per game. They're top. He was able to retain his core 6 guys he wanted. They're missing some of the depth, and some of the depth got flipped around, but they're not any worse off. Dellavedova is basically replaced now by Kyle Korver. So you got better 3-point shooting, which they're second in attempts, I think, in the league behind Golden State. But there's a different dynamic that I think I know who is missing from the Cavs, and I'll get into that a little later. And then the other situation is kind of the mojo that, or lack thereof, right now with Golden State, because they used to be in the last 5 minutes of the game. They used to be probably the most. They call it the death lineup. They literally were. I think they were 30-3 last year, or something like that. When they had that, that lineup in, Curry, Thompson, Iguodala. Curry, Thompson, Iguodala, Green, and Harrison Barnes. So basically, Harrison Barnes was replaced by Kevin Durant. So I got a little bit I want to talk about the mojo that was going on there. The pass first distribution to spread the floor, create space, get shots. I don't know. I think you know where I'm headed with that. They could have spent more on calories. That's the funny thing is they got outbidded there. They got outbidded for Dellavedova. And if LeBron doesn't take his pay raise, then they could keep Dellavedova. He probably should. pay more. I mean, they already. It's not just a luxury tax. They have the highest payroll in league history. And again, their core 6 players are still there from last year. So everybody but their starter, And by the way, the Warriors cut Anderson Varejao over the weekend. So I tweeted out I would expect for the Cavs to sign him in some sort of a capacity. Probably even for like a league minimum. They need the depth at the 5, and he knows their offense, and maybe even more importantly, he knows, kind of what the Warriors have been doing. So even if it's just for the recon, it's probably worth the league minimum for them to pick him up. So it'd be interesting to see what they do there. Absolutely. So, without ado, our first guest of the evening, former writer for the Boston Globe, author of Boston Herald. We're gonna start a feud now. And author of several books, Mr. Mike Carey. How are you doing this evening? I'm not doing too bad. you, that's the craziest thing about. Well, no, I just want to make a comment. That's just the crazy thing about, addiction. It without a support system there that's just constantly there. It's tough because a lot of time, my wife, she's a clinical psychologist, so she works around this a lot. She's worked in and out of the state and federal prison system. She works for the VA now. But what they see a lot of is you'll have people transitioning out of rehab facilities, and instead of kicking a habit, what they try to do is actually create a different habit. So they move them from like smack to caffeine, or to tobacco, or something like that, to keep them because the mind, it's an issue with development or underdevelopment or damage in the frontal lobe of the brain. So that's where it's focused on. So they're trying to do something that's either less damaging or productive to consume the addictive brain. So it really is, and and all these things that are really coming out are things just within the last decade, just learning more so from the neurological and cognitive side of how addiction and stuff works. Just imagine what, if these things weren't so taboo 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, how much different maybe some of these guys' lives would be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing. Like when he got rid of Walker, that's really when people were like, oh wait, I don't know where he's going with this. But a few years later, he ends up getting Ray Allen and Kevin Durant. And I don't think that was completely by chance. I think some people say, oh, the moon and the stars aligned for once. Yeah, or Kevin Garnett, my bad. I don't think it was by chance. I think he looks at it. He looks at things from outside the box, and that's what really the great GMs, coaches, minds that we see in any sort of industry. They they bring in those out of the box type things. It's just, it looks crazy, but if you take time to step back and look at the painting, the madness makes sense, you know. And I think it's just one of those things over time. It's been able to build it back up, and I think he felt that it was the right time to kind of blow things up, bring in a new coach, bring in some new young talent through the draft, and now, you know, we see him sitting second in the East right now. Maybe not quite there to really contend with Cleveland, but still, it's progressing. It's moving in the right direction. So.
I think he's a tremendous player. As Barkley says, he's the best player in the game. But when he goes off on these things like, we need a point guard, or, this past week there were rumors that he was saying, get Carmelo Anthony for, and give away Kevin Love. Now, I don't believe that LeBron ever said that, but there were rumors that was behind the push for Melo, and That's that's great, you know. And I think his forward just sets the tone for the entire book. I mean, he describes it does, yeah. You know, describes his relationship with Marvin, and you know, he's become a great friend of mine, and you know, I'll always be in debt with him because he just did so much for me. And it's a book I'm really proud of. I mean, I've done other books that I liked and I'm proud of, but this one, you know, this one really, and it was, you know, it was a 7-year deal with all the stops and starts through the, you know, the twists and turns in Marvin's life. But, you know, it's not just another mindless sports book. There's a message there about addiction and about, you know, what young athletes should be aware of. Money, you know, the squandering of money. That's, you know, Marvin really did that for me, and you know, again, just casual drug use, you know, and that's what he started out, you know, with Marvin, just, you know, once a week, he might have a cocaine or something, but by the end of the second year, he was totally addicted. And, you know, I'm proud of this book, that's all I can say. So, what other sports did you jump into? I'm interested in the executive Mike Carey. He on the show, often, information, I think, insight into the background, and for him, hope you get a reconnect again. He was awesome. Thanks a lot. Been a lot of fun for me. Thanks, guys. Okay, thank you, Mike. I get over the book. I'm going to get to the week. I'll give you some feedback. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, Kevin. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mike. Take care.
All right. You're telling me. Yeah, and you know that's the thing is like you want to, you know, that's a blessing of being on, you know, internet radio though, online radio, and doing it, you know, streaming, and not on, you know, I mean, he was on for what, 45 minutes, hour, right at an hour. So that would have been what, like 4 breaks to keep him on that long, and who's gonna wait for 5-6 minutes? No, that would have been way too long. So it's you know, we'll continue our opening our show with these documentary series. So, but you know, yeah. And it's nice that, because sometimes it gets it's difficult when you have people come on and getting a story out of people. But that's the great thing is, you know, you get those great guests that we've had on the show, you know, in the past few weeks, and we've been on Show is going on since 2013, so this is going on the 4th year. So October will be 4 years on the air. But it's nice when you get people on that are just really interested in having a conversation, telling a story, and getting such knowledgeable people like like Mike Carey and the Boston Herald for several years, writing books, just being involved in the culture and the life revolving around the sport is so much different than a lot of what we see with writers and stuff like that. So it's always interesting to kind of see where people are going to go and what you can learn, stuff that you never thought. It's those little stories that really have nothing to do with basketball but have everything to do with basketball that he tells that makes it so much more dynamic and you appreciate on a different level. Yeah, absolutely. So we need to go to break real quick. On the other side of that break, though, I want to get a little bit more into what we were talking about where the NBA is right now, and then of course we're gonna need to get into the Super Bowl. It's kind of a requirement. So. Alright, stay tuned. You're listening to the Cold Hard Truth on Sports here on the Go Long Media channel on blogtalkradio.com. Back for more right after this.
Hey, all this is Matthew Long with the Cold Hard Truth on Sports and the Triangle Office. I just want to take some time to tell you about Headfair. A wonderful company, been around for 20-plus years, has over 11 branches in Florida, with licensed certified specialists, and guess what? They also take care of termites as well as lawn care, sprinkler systems, and much, much more. Call today 1-800-PET. 1-800-723. WCSB Sports and MRN Broadcasting powered by blogtalkradio.com. Forget all that. Just download my special, man. Or get the DVD when it's available. We will search for answers. The link's posted below.
RichardReeseLive.com. Alright, welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I'm Matthew Long with my co-host Kevin Krest. If you're just joining in, you just missed an hour-long mini documentary, basically, interview with the great Mike Carey, author, former writer for the Boston Herald, I just want to read. I got the Globe on the mind. I don't know why. It is at heart, Kevin. I appreciate it. I've stepped on my own, you know what, before, so it's not stepping on it so bad. It's when you sit on it. It's just that makes it even worse. Anyways, so. Oh, you know it. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, that's up. I know, right? I like how Lee Steinberg was just, he was like casually like, yeah, I managed Oscar De La Hoya, meeting Cuban Gooding Jr., he was just like, I set him straight. I know. How do I get a ticket to watch? We're having internal orgasms with the thought of it. And he's like, oh yeah, it's just casual stuff, Really? I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. And our interview from last week too, with Edelstein, Eric, with Eric, the article I was writing on these developmental leagues that we have coming up here. There's 3 developmental leagues that are current. Actually, they did a great little snippet in Sports Illustrated, because you get Sports Illustrated too, right? I think we were the last of 10 people that actually get Sports Illustrated, but it's not a doctor's office, or a car dealership. But yeah, it's in the issue. It was last week's issue. I believe it was last week's issue. It had a snippet. It broke down the 3 divisions, and I'm working on an article for that, but just thinking of because again, when he brought up the liability umbrella alone is enough to put the league out of business, how do you afford it? It's just, yeah. Yeah. I'd wonder who's underwriting it. Yeah. Yeah, soccer's starting to make its full swing now. It's coming into swing. They are. Well, don't get me started on Dwight Howard. I'm not a fan at all, nor have I ever really been a fan of Dwight Howard. I yeah. Isaiah Thomas wasn't he the last pick? Isn't yeah, it was a guy that you kind of write off, you know. Here's the thing with their line. Obviously, what he's looking for is more depth. He doesn't have that depth at scoring like he felt like he did last year. Guys that take in more minutes. But here's the thing. If we look at the game, I think it was just last night, where LeBron had like 12, 13 assists, 17 assists, yeah. That's what they need. That's what they need from him. Exactly. But see, here's the thing: is like even the 37 points. He didn't need to score 37. He did, but I think because what he's saying he's missing is a distributor. I think if he takes the time to step back and be the distributor to get other people, again, because this is what really made it good for them when when he was in Miami and they won the titles, and at points last year. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then, I mean, Love put up a pretty good amount of points last night too, right? He had a pretty good game. And I'm sorry, I'll take Kevin Love over Carmelo Anthony any day. Yeah, 4 years. 4 years younger, I think. Yeah. Yeah, they don't want him. I know my Lakers are doing in New York. They're beating the Knicks. Oh, settle down now, Kevin. Settle down now. Well, she has Magic in the house as her personal liaison now between the front office and the front court. Hopefully. Well, that's the thing is this year is I guess this year is like his last year, where he said I have 4 years or 3 years. It was 3 years, where I'll have it back to where it's in championship contention. I think they're like second or third to last in the West. I don't know. That's what they were looking at. We have a chance of beating UCLA, who actually has a good squad this year, by the way. UCLA. Yeah. Nets. And yeah, same number of wins. Be careful now. But they also have a dynamic guy in Embiid. That guy is he is a monster. Like, he's just He came out. I watched him on that game. They played when he played in LA. I was just like, yeah, the Lakers need this guy. Pay him. They're looking at moving Okafor. You know that? Because of Embiid. Well, Embiid, because Embiid and Okafor are both a 5. They usually don't. They split minutes. Yeah, they're off guards. And you know, that gets into the kind of the point that I was talking about a little earlier at the beginning of the show. You know, some of that mojo has changed, and Kevin Durant. The more and more I see Kevin Durant, each year he just seems to be more and more selfish as a person, as a player, whatever it is. You know, in the Cavs game, you know, and the loss against where the Cavs are the Grizzlies the other night, where they kind of imploded. They haven't been closing out games like they had been, but instead of making that pass to spread the floor out at the end of the game, he held the ball, dribbled it out, chucked up a shot and missed, and Memphis ended up winning in overtime. Kind of what the Falcons did. They dribbled it out when they should have just, you know, taken the W. Nobody's complaining. Yeah. Yeah. And Kyrie still played well. Yeah, that again goes back to Kevin Durant being kind of selfish. He tries to. Well, they were also in his defense. They were force feeding him the ball there towards the end, and you know, who expected Richard Jefferson Jeffries to play that kind of a defense? Everybody thought he was going to retire last year. He came back signed a 2-year deal. Yeah.
They don't have to. They can win. The Warriors are the same thing. They can manage the way to stop. I think a lot of LeBron James does it for the big man. He does it for years. I'll just say, you don't think nobody else has done it.
Yeah. In a row, too. Yeah, was that Mo Williams? That was his second best guy, is Mo Williams. The only guy still wearing the classic short shorts. I know. I remember. It burned my retina. Way behind LeBron. But that's the thing is, like, as soon as don't use Tom Brady, because Tom Brady doesn't get people put around him either. But no, I'm not going to just debate that. No, I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't think there's anybody better in the league than him. But I do think that there are, better things and different things that team needs to do to win a title. If not, they're going to end up losing again, and it's going to be, he's going to make it seem like there's hell to pay there. And I mean, it's going to get back more into what people are wanting. Again, it's legitimate what he's asking for. Get us more help. Let's move this around. But I agree it shouldn't be public. But to kind of hit back on the whole instance for the Warriors, I mean, so many people talk about Durant and Curry, but I think the MVP of that team is really Klay Thompson. He is the most valuable guy on that team, without a doubt. Did you?
That's something really phenomenal the other night.
Yeah.
The whole the British players and stuff. But I just don't think that back in 1920 played over 2 years in a row. They would play back to back. They would now play the Friday Saturday
Riveting. Yeah. Well, also the NBA. Yeah. Just my big issue with a lot of these pro leagues is there's just too many damn games in a season. There's just too many. Baseball is just ridiculous. 162 games. Like. Exactly. And that, I guess that doesn't include the week for the All-Star game, though. Plus the All-Star week. Yeah. Yeah, they don't. You know, that's why I don't blame them for not wanting to participate. You know, I'll be there, like, do it once or twice or something like that. I get it when people don't want to do that. You want some time off in the middle of the season, especially if you're in contention. You know? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just it. They have to look more into the formula that the NFL has built. NFL is a television show now. It's not the revenue they get at the stadiums is just it's the chump change. It's the pocket change. If people don't show up to these stadiums, they don't care. That's why we have 2 teams in LA now. You know, their concern isn't fans filling the stadiums. No, it was getting the owners more money. You know, because because Kroenke financed the stadium in LA, they said, yeah, you're moving. You're going to LA. And now that San Diego made the decision to move too, they're like, yeah, well, you're going to pay him rent. He's going to make more money. So it's a better thing to look at on TV. So, yep. I don't think that's the new TV cut, because they just upgraded. They just upped the contracts, didn't they? Or is it due next year? Exactly. Yeah. It looks like the network deals run through 2022. The paid contribution is a total of $20.4 billion to broadcast NFL games. The breakdown is roughly CBS 3.7 $3.73 billion, NBC $3.6 billion, Fox $4.27 billion, and ESPN $8.8 billion. That $8.8 billion is huge. That is the NFL's way of putting ESPN in check as a sports brand. Because a few years back, we knew Monday Night Football was the game of the week, which it isn't anymore. It's the Sunday night game. And then even after that, they introduced a Thursday game. So even the big in-conference games are on Thursday nights now, not on Monday. So Monday, they kind of stuck it to ESPN because ESPN was growing as a brand off of the NFL, off Monday Night Football. So they kind of stuck it to them there by rearranging the schedule so they weren't getting as good of games, and they're making them pay more for broadcasting as well. So it's it's interesting the way that they kind of work with ESPN, but also put them in a position where they are paying more than anybody else. And actually, Fox probably has the best deal out of all of them, simply for the fact that they get, they're getting the NFC games instead of the AFC games. Yeah. No, the TV ratings for the Rams in LA was worse than the TV ratings for it in St. Louis. Well, I guess that could be part of the reason. Well, they well, that they were. I mean, what could we expect? They said, "Hey, Jeff Fisher, you were completely mediocre. Here's a 2-year extension." Oh wait, no, you're fired. Like, they're like, "Oh, the villagers got pitchforks and fire. We have to fire him." It's like Ron Burgundy. Ron Burgundy, I'm gonna have to fire you. I'm gonna have to fire you too. Boom, 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 boom. No, it's what you said. Alright, I think it's that time to get into Super Bowl. A little bit of Super Bowl talk. A little bit. Alright, so if the Patriots don't get 3 holding calls in a row, defensive holding calls in a row, yeah. Well, there was a lot of. It was very clumsy on the final drive, but even before the final drive, run the ball, set up for a field goal, Let Brian kick the field goal. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know. I had to interview a coach. I know. Watch him. Yeah, that was like Matt Davidson and against Missouri. Was that 97? Yeah, 97. And it was kicked up in the air, and he caught it just. Yeah. Ask Arkansas. Well, that's what happens when you have young guys. Yeah, they think it's over. And they come out and score to start out they get the 3 and out right away. They get a 3 and out right away from New England. They get the ball back. They score. They go up 28-3. And now it's like, oh, okay, cool. And New England missed a field goal too. It's like, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that the podcasted version of the game will be available with the same link that you'll listen to the show tonight live. If you're listening live, or what you can do is you can download the Spreaker app, listen to it on your phone, or go over to thechtonsports.com, click on the listen link in the upper left hand corner. You can listen to the entirety of that interview, the Erica Edelstein from last week, Lee Steinberg from the week before, or any of the shows, really. All over there. We're about 60 seconds from going over into the overtime segment, so appreciate it, Kevin. All right, awesome. Kevin Krest, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to the overtime segment. If you want to get in on this segment, you got about 45 seconds ish. Call in 347-237-5539 is the call-in number for the show. All right, got a few messages over here on the message boards I will get to. I'm going to go to a quick commercial break. We kind of plowed through that here earlier in the show, so I'll go to a quick commercial break. On the other side of that break, I'm going to get a little bit more into the Super Bowl, my take on that, the Patriots and the Falcons, where I see them going next year. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Cold Hard Truth on Sports here on the Go Long Media channel on blogtalkradio.com.
10 seconds. Forget all that. Just download my special, man. Or get the DVD when it's available.
I will search for answers.
The link's posted below.
RichardReeseLive.com. All right, welcome back here to the Cold Hard Truth on Sports here on the Go Long Media channel on blogtalkradio.com. Thank you all for listening in wherever you're listening in from. A lot of people over on YouTube Live, Google Hangout. Guess that's the other name for it, right? So appreciate you all tuning in. Spreaker has been great. I know you over on Spreaker are actually able to hear the commercials now. So we got some of that stuff worked out. Love you guys over there. iTunes, SoundCloud, Sonos, and many others. Did I forget? Blog Talk. Can't forget Blog Talk Radio. So I appreciate you guys listening in. During the break there, I did connect with Mike Carey again. Appreciate him coming on tonight, and I want to reiterate: go out, get his book, Bad News: The Turbulent Life of Marvin Barnes, Pro Basketballs. So Pro Basketballs, Marvin Barnes. So it's a good. He gave a good synopsis of kind of introducing into the book. We had him on for an hour tonight. We do a little bit longer interviews here on the show. Whenever we can get people on, we will. So he's added. He's one in the books. Definitely would love to have him back on. I look forward to reading the book as well. So you can get that. I know it is available over on Amazon. Looks like the Kindle version $12.99, hardcover is $15.31. So go ahead and check that out, get it, read it. Also, Kevin Krest, co-host. While you're over on Amazon, go ahead and bundle that with the P.K. Frazier novels, which are equally as awesome, full of their own history. And by all three of them. Over on Amazon as well, so go ahead and check those out. And I've never written a book, so read theirs. I highly recommend it. I'm gonna have Kevin write my foreword because I can't get. That's funny. Here's actually just talking about books. I know we're hearing the overtime segment. Here's a book I've been reading lately. It's a little bit older book, but authored by Ted Sudquist. He's been a guest on the show a couple times too, so appreciate his book. And business people, this is a good book for business people too. It's not a football book, football references, but it's he was also in the military, Air Force Academy, I believe. Not just in sports. So, all right, awesome. So we got a few messages over here, some questions. How do I consider Klay Thompson the MVP of the Maverick of the Warriors, and not Durant or Steph Curry? Well, here's the thing: is I think the Warriors still working on the chemistry of having Kevin Durant there. It's still something new for them. They haven't figured out how to do it yet. It's not quite there yet. But Klay Thompson is a clutch shooter. He has size, he can dribble, and he's always working in and out of whatever system that they're applying. He is a guy that, like Kevin said, he's probably a guy that should be coming off the bench with the talents that they have, but because of his uniqueness, he doesn't have to come off. He can start, he can play a lot of minutes. Steph Curry, they run him as a point, but he's not a point, he's an off guard. Klay Thompson's an off guard. And then, you got Kevin Durant, he's an off forward. So it's complex in a way, the way that the team is set up. They're more ball movement and create spacing, get higher percentage shots. Kevin Durant hasn't caught on to that just yet. And that's something it's struggling with. But Klay Thompson has remained steady. He's reliable. He's been able to do whatever they've asked him to do, and then a little something. So I think all around, I think he's a better basketball player than Steph Curry. But again, that's based on watching the games, seeing him, evaluating what he's providing to the team versus what Curry does. Again, Curry is a tremendous shooter. He's such a deadly shooter. He's good at creating space for himself and scoring. He's a good distributor as well. So, he is a top guy, and shouldn't shy away from that at all. But as far as value, I think Klay Thompson provides more value, because if you take away Steph Curry from that lineup, you're going to be giving more shots to Durant and more shots to Klay Thompson. I don't think anybody would disagree. Either of them having more shots is going to be a terrible thing. And replacing him with another active point guard. So it could still work. You could put in somebody like a Derek Fisher. When he played, when he wasn't a coach. A player like that would work too, who can make shots when needed, but is primarily a distributor, not a scorer. So that would still work too. But on the other end, Klay Thompson works out more because, again, the flexibility that he has, of how they're able to use him, how he's able to go out there and ball, So yeah, that's I understand the skepticism. I mean, you guys, you're gonna have media hype him up, and yes, if we're talking about who are the best players in that, yeah, Curry and Durant and LeBron, they're in the top 5 in the league. Yeah, absolutely. You can say that. But that doesn't necessarily make them more valuable to the team. So see, that's the thing, is like, when we have a concept of value, where does that really come from? Is it popularity? Is that the value? Or is it how that person is contributing to winning? I think he's higher value. I want to get back into the football though. Back into the Super Bowl. I want to get back into the Super Bowl though, because there's a few things we kind of skimmed over there. Yes, the Falcons had a huge miss. There was about, I don't think they scored in the last 20-some minutes of the game. 21 minutes, something like that. Not scoring there is what killed it for them. I think they came out and figured it worked so well in the first half We'll do it in the second half. But what was helping out with the scoring in the first half was so much of the run game. The run game was there. It was providing the run game working was providing avenues to get those outs, 30-yard outs and whatnot. Freeman played well. I don't see where anybody can honestly look at that game and say, Dante Freeman lost us the game. No. Should he have picked up a block? Yeah, he got that chip. Maybe that would have helped. But maybe not. Because even if they don't take the sack there to push him to 3rd and 33, was it something like that? They still were not running clock. The play selection still was not putting him in the position to win. That's the thing is in the NFL it's so easy to run clock. Your play clock's longer. The clock doesn't stop for first downs. There is no rush in the NFL. And playing up tempo to run out the clock is not gonna help you. I think that if they would have switched over to higher percentage, shorter throws, and go with some draws, screenplays, stuff like that, something to keep the ball in, between the hashes, inside the numbers at the widest, and you stay away from the sidelines altogether. Play like the sidelines are a penalty. You didn't see that though. Again, I don't want to discount the Patriots defense. Put them in those situations. The front line was starting to get there, and putting Matt Ryan in positions that clearly were not favorable for them to win. So I'm not at all discounting the Patriots defense. The offense's will to keep going. Edelman played out of his mind. Hogan played out of his mind. Mitchell played well. He did what he was asked for. Bennett, he played admirably. He could have played better. They're going to take a long, hard look at some of those drops. And that was a big part of the issue with the Patriots offense in the first half of the game. There's a lot of drop passes. There's a lot of drop passes in that game by Patriots receivers. So it's something that that's probably going to really get a look at in the off season. And that's what I want to segue into now. Getting into the off season. I think these two teams are going to look a bit different. Starting with Atlanta. Last year, after last year's Super Bowl, when the Broncos won, I tweeted out the Broncos might take a page out of the Marlins playbook and blow it up. Well, it wasn't so much blown up as gutted. So essentially, I guess it was blown up. What I was getting at when I said that is the team's going to look a lot different. They're not going to overpay guys. Again, Von Miller's still there. He's one of the best players in the league, and he got paid what he deserved to be paid. And that's good. You want to keep those cornerstone players. They lost their starting quarterback in Peyton Manning, retirement. Brock Osweiler, free agency. Paxton Lynch wasn't ready. And a whole host of other guys just wasn't what they needed. So half their defensive line gone, Ware injured. So it wasn't the same team by far. So you couldn't expect so much to really get all out of it. That would have been, I think the expectation for them to return was too much. That's why I said what I said. And they did, for an essential purpose. It was blown up, gutted, whatever you want to call it, last year. I think we might see something similar. Let me pull Frank's contract. With Atlanta. I know Dante Freeman, we're probably going to see a holdout from him. He's going to want some max pay. He clearly was is one of their best players. Let me go back over here for Atlanta. Who else they had come up in free agency? Pull the New England up one. New England. Yeah, New England has quite a bit. I mean, Bartavius Mingo, he's coming up. But they do short-term deals with a lot of guys. Martellus Bennett's coming up. Here's the thing. And I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to wait on New England. I got something for you from New England. Atlanta doesn't really have a ton of guys coming up here in free agency. Just Matt Schaub, their backup. That's not a big deal. Yeah, they really don't have a lot. A couple offensive linemen, but guys, it looks like it'd be pretty easy to sign. But the thing is, like Dwight Freeney, he has a little time left on his contract, but we don't know how many years he's going to play. We don't know if he has a lot left in the tank. They have a lot of cap room. The highest paid player is that it? I mean, I'm just taking a look over here. I mean, that's not all the players. Pull them all up. Yeah, I mean, they have Jacob Tammy, free agent, coming up. See, that's the thing is, what we're going to see out of this, Tammy may not sign again. So then they'll be left with Toiolo, who was their starter anyways. Kyle Shanahan liked two tight end systems, but we might see that. Tyler Gabriel, he is a restricted free agent, so they'll probably keep him. He works well. Unless San Francisco comes calling for him. Yeah, Eric Weems, he will probably be gone. He's 31. He's 31, and he's getting paid $3 million. Yeah, he's probably going to be gone. I would expect him to be but they do have some age. It's younger players, but they do have some age. But we're seeing a turnover. The quarterback coach is going to be gone. Offensive coordinator, gone. May have a different backup quarterback. We're going to see what happens with Dante Freeman. He might hold out. Dwight Freeney could be gone. There is let me pull that back up there. I mean, these are all free agents. Everybody's on this list is free. Is this a whole free agent list? Okay. I wanted the whole team, but that's okay. So, yeah, they have a good number of free agents on the team, either restricted or unrestricted free agents. But the big point is losing your offensive coordinator, which they've already said that they're going to hire Steve Sarkisian, who was an offensive quality control assistant for most of last year to the national championship game. Moved up to offensive coordinator. Before that was a head coach at USC, and before that literally took a dumpster fire in Washington from no wins to 5 to 9 before he went to USC, and got that program going back in the right direction before Peterson came in and did what he did the last couple seasons there too. A couple, 9, 10 win seasons, knowing that, was it 11 win season this year. So he's obviously a good choice. I think Sarkisian, I like him as a play caller. I think he's going to do good there in Atlanta. He's a West Coast guy. I think he's going to fit pretty seamlessly in with what Kyle Shanahan plans on or was kind of doing. I don't think there's going to be too much fall off there, too much change. It'll be able to work him in pretty seamlessly. And I think, he could end up being a pretty good offensive coordinator for a number of years, and we may even see Sarkisian as a head coach in the NFL at some point if he has a few years of a track record of success, because to see what he did at Washington, that's really you can't discount that. It's a major conference, it's a major school, revitalizing them. Feel like he's starting to go somewhere with SC, but having an addiction issue, not being able to take control of it, not really handling that situation well. But it's last year. Gave him a window into coaching back at the level he wants to be at. And he might actually be better off in the NFL. The thing is, people ask, is it college? Is it NFL? Is it college, NFL? You deal with a lot of different things in either end. It's a lot of different rules either way, interaction with players, you're handcuffed either way. Now, in college, it really is year round because you're recruiting. Because you got recruiting. You got young guys, and you got a team of 110 players. So, I think 110 at home, and was it 85 can travel, 75 can travel, something like that. Way too many. More than we'll even see the game. So only having 53 could be a blessing in disguise. So let's see where he does here. It's going to be kind of this might be his rehab, if you want to call it that. So I look forward to that. But I think this team's going to look a little bit different next year. and they could have some struggles. I don't think we're going to see the same fall off because they don't. Yes, Dwight Freeney's unrestricted free. Thank you for getting. Thank you. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's making $1 million, so he may be back. He's 36, so. I mean, Sean Weatherspoon, he's 29, $1.5 million. Courtney Upshaw, 27, 1.25. Eric Williams, 31. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be at 1.25. At $3 million. He's gone. 16 of the. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So his team's gonna look different. I think they're gonna try to retain the nucleus. Dante Freeman's gonna give a bit different look on that. Garoppolo. Okay, yes, I'm getting into that right now. Do I think Garoppolo goes to Chicago or to the Browns, or he stays? If I was Jimmy Garoppolo and I have a choice to start in Chicago or Cleveland and be overpaid, or sit behind Tom Brady and wait. Well, what I would do is I would get a 3 to 5 year deal, right? A fat one that's front end loaded, right? You hear me out on this? I get a 5 to 7, yeah, probably a 5 year deal, front end loaded for the first 2 or 3, right? Just guarantee the crap out of it, unless more incentive driven on the back end. Because what that would do, if I was looking for an open, you can renegotiate, restructure that contract to get more guaranteed money as bonus on the back end if you perform well. And if you're okay, you can also set that up to where it would be attractive to a team like New England if you want to go back, because it's not hitting their cap and it's more incentive driven and they're giving you bonus money. See, the thing is, like, the Patriots will pay for value. If they see the value there, they're going to go after it. So you're making it more attractive to go back there if you wanted to. If in 3 years Tom Brady decides to retire. So that could be part of your play. But if there's a lot of money on the table, and this league is tough. I mean, he has 2. I mean, it's his 3rd year in the league, so he has 2 already. I mean, he has a more. He won the trophy already. That's what you're looking for, right? Now you want the big contract. It usually comes the other way, but he's fortunate enough to be that way. So Garoppolo should go for the big money. Whoever's going to pay him the most. I cannot hesitate to say that more. Whoever's going to pay you the most. He may not be a guy that's in the league for a long time. It may end up being a backup later on down the road, or just one of those guys kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick that just kind of hangs around. He's not bad, but he's really not great. So, I think the Bears definitely have to have a different quarterback next year. Depending on the quarterback and the decisions they decide to go, Alshon Jeffries may resign, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was gone as well. And they may look for some different skilled positions and spend money elsewhere. Maybe beefing up the offensive line, trying to find a quarterback, getting a little bit more depth along the defensive line to put pressure on, to put some more pressure on the offense. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. But I tweeted this out today. I think the most movable piece on the Patriots offense is Rob Gronkowski. Why? Rob Gronkowski is, obviously he's struggled with some injuries here the last few years, basically his entire career. His contract is through 2020, so he has 3 years left. Okay. His cap hit is next year's the highest. His dead money is 642. So if I could get him, maybe he'll restructure, maybe not. But right now his cap hit is actually really high. 6.75, 11, and 12. So he's not getting another contract. This is his max contract. This is the only big contract he'll get in his career. So it's because the dead money. Okay, look at it like this. This is where I'm trying to explain it. This year was 12.15 million in dead money. So if they cut him this year, they have to pay him over $12 million. They keep him, get what they can out of him. Next year, they'd pay $6 million for him to walk, to trade him away, cut him, if they cut him, which I doubt they would do. So with 3 years, it's a good amount of control. Look at teams around the league that, maybe San Francisco, that have cap, that have some draft picks, maybe. They'd be willing to maybe part with those picks. Probably not San Francisco to get. They wouldn't give up the first, but they would, because they're too high up. But I think there's a team in the league that may give up a first round pick for Gronkowski. Maybe Jason Witten's getting up there in age, and this young Cowboys team has some cap space. If Witten decides to call it a career, maybe the Cowboys look at Gronkowski. I mean, they're towards the bottom of the first round. Most of their needs are on defense. Maybe even in positions where they can find them in the second round. So, Cowboys could be one of those teams that's in that position. Another one might be the Texans. They have who they thought was their quarterback, and they don't know, so they're going to be continuing to look for something. But they really don't have a tight end threat. And you have a team that does like to pass the ball. And some more viable weapons for the Texans could have been what would have helped get them past the Patriots. Maybe. You'll have a healthy J.J. Watt back next year. So, again, Gronkowski's one of those guys. He's high value enough around the league that they should be able to get something first round plus for him. They don't get the most out of him. They can win without him. But if you lose him, if you get rid of Gronkowski, right, then the question is, what do you pay Bennett? He's gonna want more than 5. So next year he's an unrestricted free agent next year. He just signed a 1-year deal. Well, actually, he was on the back end of 1 year. So back end of a 4-year. They got the last year of a 4-year deal from the Bears. But do you sign him to a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, franchise tag him? Well, I mean, there's a lot of options that you have there with Martellus Bennett. And Martellus Bennett he might want to stay around. You know? Maybe not. We'll see. So, I think if you secure Bennett, you can move Gronk, and really doesn't matter which way they go with Garoppolo. They'll probably if Garoppolo is still there next year. Again, he's an unrestricted free agent in 2018, so this is his last year there. He's making $1 million, 1.1. Trade him away. You trade him away. Get something of value for him. So if you re-sign him, I don't think he's going to take much of a discount. The Bucks, I don't see the Bucks keeping Mike Glennon either, by the way. So Tampa fans, they're not going to re-sign him. He's gonna make a chunk of change somewhere else. Especially with Brock Osweiler making what he made last year. But I think Gronk is probably the most movable guy on the Patriots offense. The Patriots do have a good amount of free agents, though. So that's just looking over that tonight is kind of one of those things that makes you really think about it. What they're going to end up doing next year. Yeah. And by the way, Tampa fans, Cameron Brate did great. His tight end coach, Coach Cam Ebram, left to be San Francisco. He went to San Francisco. Now I don't know if Cameron Brate can duplicate what he did. He did a lot. I mean, 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns this year, making about $500,000. I think the Bucks are going to be looking at tight end. I don't know where yet, but it's definitely going to be one of those things that they will be looking at coming up. And there's not out of value, top value guys. There's not a ton out there on the market that are free agents. So let me get to a couple more of these questions. We only got 10 minutes or so left in the show. No. Nope. Not digging to find out one of this ones. No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not a LeBron apologist. I'm not a LeBron hater. The show is called The Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I'm going to give you the cold hard truth. Listen, fanboys, you don't have to like what I say. You don't. It's fine. But I'm going to give you my take. Real sports take. Real sports talk. No, I like LeBron. He's a good player. I don't like the way he approaches some things. I think schematically as a team, he could be used differently, and so could Kevin Love. So could Kyrie. He said he wants that distributor because Kyrie's not a point guard and neither is he. So they want that point guard in there to distribute them the ball. What he's asking is to find them somebody that can create space on the floor for better shots. The thing is, they're thinking that you need another playmaker, but really what he needs is what he's asking for, but doesn't understand he's really asking for space and better shots. Somebody to come in to take time off of his hands so he can play less minutes. Listen, Kevin Love can play more minutes. You can leave him at the 4 and move him in different areas. You don't have to. I mean, we saw it in overtime the other night. LeBron doesn't have to be on the floor. Kyrie can take the show. You know, you got Tristan getting the boards down low. You just got to rely on Shumpert to make some shots, to make some things happen, to have Corver out there taking shots. So you have the staff that you need there. You just need to figure out how you're going to play together. And that's the problem. They aren't running the offense maybe the way that would suit them best. Is that Lou's fault? Is that Tehran's fault? No, I don't think that's necessarily completely his fault. I think it's been shown enough that, you know, a coach is gonna have so much success. You know, in pro sports, the thing is, you have egos, you have people that are leaders dealing with the best in the world. If they feel that they know it better, you know, the quarterback's going to call an audible. LeBron's going to say, I'm going to ISO him and I'm going to take it to the basket. You know, they're going to call their own stuff. And they're going to run it the way they see it working best. I mean, you even saw Brady when he came out just before the half. They threw a short screen pass behind the line to Martellus Bennett, he was tackled for a loss. It was an interesting play call. It just didn't work at all. He came out visibly frustrated. Him and McDaniel kind of, you know, had some dialogue on the sideline. So, but here's the thing. LeBron just wants to win. And he thinks that he doesn't have staff to do that. The fact is, he does have the staff to do that. They just need to utilize what they have better. I don't think LeBron knows what he has on his team. He does have pretty much everything he asked for, outside of Carmelo Anthony, which Griffin doesn't want to trade for, and I don't blame him. You know, fine. I mean, you have your nucleus from your championship team. You know, you don't have to have another star to, you know. You don't need an all-star team to win in the NBA. Now, Golden State has they've kept their nucleus for the most part. Maybe even upgraded. Is he worried about that? Maybe so. Let's see here. Yeah, the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to do decent next year. They still have that great offensive line. We'll see what Dak Prescott does. Ezekiel Elliott does next year. They'll sign some guys at the running back position. They will. No, I wouldn't mind if. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they traded Des Bryant. You know, the thing is, I don't think Des Bryant really gives them so much more. He's a movable guy, in my opinion. In my opinion, they might be able to find somebody else. I think he's a good receiver, but I think he's movable. Let's see. What else here? Nope. Not gonna get into golf. Yes, I'm happy Tiger's back. I did not watch it. That's a good question. Tampa next year. The Rays. Okay. I'm not going to get too deep into this because we're still a few months even from spring training. But no matter how bad, maybe from the surface or on paper, the Rays may seem, it's tough for me to count them out. They've over-accomplished with what they've had pretty much every year. And these were the first 2 years that they didn't have 80 wins. In some time, I think it's been like 5 or 6 years that they had 80 plus wins. They had the longest streak going. Was Joe Madden part of it? I think so. Changes in the front office? I think so. But, when we're not spending money on players, which they can, the Rays get a lot of money from the revenue sharing because they don't win. Also, the TV rights. Again, the TV rights aren't as lucrative as in other sports, but that stuff's coming up here pretty soon. So we should see more of that. Again, baseball's also a local sport for the most part. It's a local sport. So they're driving that from the local sport. You don't get, there's not much of a national buzz on those contracts as it does with the NBA or the NFL. So I think there's way too many games in baseball. They need to shorten it significantly. If they cut it in half, that would be great. Because if not, they need to have. Because if you shorten the season, you take out less games, shorten the season. Now you're putting the World Series kind of preseason football instead of in the heart of the beginning of the football season. I think sports should work around that. Don't entrap yourself into that. I think the NBA does a good job. They're pretty much by themselves, except for the beginning of baseball season. Again, the first 2-3 months of baseball season is just like, oh yeah, and then you get to like, now you're in June, you're like, oh, is the All-Star game yet? And it's after the All-Star game, yeah. It's like, man, when's the postseason? 162 games. It's just so many games. 14 days off, not including the All-Star break. That's not a lot of time off. When baseball players go to work from March till August, more than the average person, they're working 6 days a week. That's just, it's crazy. It's just too long of a season. I just think that if Major League Baseball reduces the number of games, right, and maybe add a couple, okay, because the wild card games they just added was a 1-game play-in, which isn't a wild card game. Expand that. You need to have that a 7-game series, or at least 5, because you're not playing as much regular season, so you can afford to play postseason. Expand your postseason. the most money is going to be made in your postseason because those are more meaningful games. So, and that's because the argument that I get a lot for not expanding the college football playoff to 6 or 8 is that now you've delegitimized the regular season. That's not the case because half the teams in the NFL make the playoffs. It hasn't delegitimized the playoffs at all. Look who we ended up with. The Falcons, who's the hottest team going into the end of the year, and the Patriots, who is consistently there at the end of the year. Every year. So, it's to say that expanding postseason would delegitimize the regular season is nuts. Baseball just has way too many games to begin with. So if you cut it back to 120 games, you split that right down to them. It's easy. 60 games. So you're losing 21 games at home and 21 on the road. You're losing it. It's gone. You're losing 42 games. It's fine. It's not going to affect the play. You're not, the players are going to be healthier. They can get a couple days. You just almost by a factor of 3, almost tripled the number of days that they have off. If we're worried about these rotations and these players and pitch counts and their knees and stuff like that, concussions, cut it back. 120 games is good. That's still a long time. And then expand your playoffs. Expand the postseason to meaningful stuff. Yeah. So that's it for the questions. Be sure to tune in. Yes, To the Half was off on Monday and Tuesday. I was saving the Super Bowl stuff for today for this show. So we'll be back tomorrow to the half. So stay tuned in. Be tuned in here on YouTube, on Spreaker, Blog Talk, SoundCloud, wherever we are. Head on over to thechtonsports.com to read all the articles and everything we have up over there, and to listen to podcast versions of the show. Again, that's thechtonsports.com. You can follow the show at thechtonsports. You can follow me at Matt Long Sports and my co-host Kevin at Kevin Krest. Again, as you can see here, with a K. But that's all we got for tonight here on the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I am out.